Okay, start. Okay, so this is the first question you asked, and there seems to be an object. And we discussed about what objects are, right? They're
Right.
a structure in JavaScript that are based on the reference types, which have key and value pairs. And you can see over here, there's an example that says const check object, and
Right.
it equals to these following properties. You can see that there's 4 properties, and each property has a key and value associated to it.
Right. So this is the key, this is the value.
Yes. And now you can see the question here. It says you are provided with an object called check obj. Using a for in loop, determine if the object contains the property found num. If it exists, reassign the value of found to 1. So you're also given a variable that is found, and it's initially has a value of 0, and you gotta determine if the check object has the value found num. If it does, it detects it and reassigns the value of found to 1. Did you get the question?
And I got it. I just don't know how to use a for in loop.
All right, no problem with that. We actually know how to create for loops, right? It's not our problem that we didn't create for in loops. For in loops are also pretty simple. Just give me the syntax for for loops right now. Okay, some length, yeah. Okay, that's good. But the this loop won't work, I guess so, because of the condition.
Right.
But this is the correct, this is the correct syntax. Okay, so now we're gonna try to solve this question. Let's go step by step. Let's get the first line of the question. Okay, so we're saying you are provided with an object called check object. Cool. We got the check object done. Now, using a for in loop, determine if the object contains the property found num. Now, we're not going to read all of that. We're just going to look at using a for in loop. Let's create a for in loop. So how do we create this? Type in the word. Yes. So for. Yes. And you have to create a variable let x in, and then the object name over here.
So
check object. Okay. So this x will be the key. You know, in those objects, there's keys and values. This x will be the key. So you go, you go say, no, you don't need to write it as found num. You just need it as any kind of value you want. You could, for simplicity, you could type in x or key.
So this doesn't actually have to be anything in the object.
This is gonna iterate through all of the keys inside the object. So check object.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So this key will be.
This can be anything at once, pretty much.
Yes, it's gonna loop through it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So now that we have this is the complete structure of the for in loop. Now determine if the object contains the property found num. Now we have to put, you know, like a conditional. Yes. So if, and then try to put the condition. If the object, which is key, okay. Okay, so you put triple equals. You got the first line right. I mean, you got the first thing you wrote was right. If the key, is equal to
found num, or
yes. Now you know that
yes,
the key is basically found num, and you have to put, you know, that this is the thing that we went over last time. The single equals is the assignment. The double equals means the equality, right? If it determines, and the triple equals means if the thing is strictly equal to. But right now we don't need the single equal. We need something else. Okay. Now try. Still get that. You still got the problem. Now look at this. The key is what? Go back to the structure up on the top and see that those keys are what type of variable? Like we went over
Numbers.
there. No, the keys. The values are numbers. The key,
Oh,
what are
like
these?
the key variable.
You know, there were different kind of types. There were Booleans, there were numbers, there were strings.
Right.
What are these?
I guess strings.
Correct.
Maybe.
They're strings. Yes, they are strings. So you're gonna have to put the found num enclosed in single quotes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because they were strings. Now, you know, it was gonna be the same if you put single quotes, but you put double quotes in that case. So the first,
So
yeah. Try to understand.
why is it telling me I need to look into objects.keys here? What would this be used for?
This is another way to do it, but you know, this one's, if you got the problem solved using this way, we don't really want to care about object.keys, because object.keys is another method to just iterate all, I mean, return all the keys existing in an object. So if I write in object.keys, you know, like if you do console.log object.keys and inside the brackets, no, yeah, go over here, console.log object.keys. So type in object.keys. And then inside of the, yeah, so this also has a parentheses, the keys function, it's a keys function. So put parentheses, and inside of this, you have to put an object. We have an object on the top. So what is the name of the object? The name of the object is check object. So we don't put double quotes in this case, but we put just the check object variable. And this will return all the keys existing in that object. So if you do look at this, odd num, even num, found num, and random num, these are all the objects. And you can see that they're enclosed in single quotes, meaning that they're strings, right? So they're strings, and we used the conditional that checked if there was a string existing, and if it was, it would assign it to 1. So I think you pretty got, it's pretty straightforward. I hope you understood this problem.
I did understand like what this is. I just still kind of want to know like how it's supposed to be used in here, just because if it ever comes up in the future where I have to use it, or they want me to use it during like a test or something, I want to know how to be able to actually.
Okay. Let's see. If I could.
So would that go in here, or?
Wait a minute. Let me see. So
yeah.
So you have to go and use object.keys, and it's returning basically as an array of strings. Then once you get this array, you could put this inside of array. So type in object.keys at the end. Just let's do some rough work. Right now, I'm not even sure what's going to be the answer. So let's just do some rough work at the bottom. And type in object.keys. And then put the object inside. Then do you know what this returns?
This should return this, right?
What is this thing?
All of the keys in this object.
But what kind of structure is it returning? What kind of structure?
An array.
An array. So let's reassign what it's returning to some kind of an array. You could call the array key array or something, whatever. So key array is equal to object.keys. No, before it. Yeah, in programming, it's going to be before it. Key or whatever, key AR, and then yeah. Now let's see if this is working, if there's any errors. Okay, so console.log and key array. It does the same thing, right? It does the same thing. Now what you want is you want to loop through this array, right? Can you loop through this array? Use a for loop, yeah. The size of the, yes. Now you want to put a conditional that determines if the index is equal to the found num. So how are you going to do that? Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It should work.
Okay.
Awesome. You got both ways. So we know how to do it with object.keys.
Yeah.
How to do it with the other way.
Okay. Awesome.
Good
Okay.
job. That was that was good. Okay.
Yeah.
Next one.
Yep. For in loops. Is that the same thing? That's so it'd be the same process, shouldn't it?
You could save your snippets in a text file if it ever gets lost, or does it save your
Oh
code?
yeah. It saves it if I go back.
Okay.
So if I like go back to this one we just did, it saves all of it.
Okay, cool.
So,
Okay, here we also have the objects.
so what does this one wanting to do? Fill the array with all the numbers from the check object if they are greater than or equal to 2.
All right, so this is another conditional.
Key is, what is it, greater than or equal to? And let's see.
Take your time.
Yeah. So before I do that, well, maybe. I don't think that's gonna work, but
Let's see.
check. Key is defined.
Okay, line on 11, key is not defined. You had to put, yeah, let.
Yeah, no. Okay. Let's see.
Okay, so you got one check, but you got two other problems. You needed expected 0 to equal 3, expected d to equal something. Okay, so can we read the question and start this? Okay, it says you are provided with an array, empty array called object to array. Cool. Using a for in loop, fill the array with all the numbers from the check object, which is on the top, if they are greater than or equal to 2. Now they're determining the values, right? They're determining the values and not the keys. So we could use a for in loop. So that key in check object, if key. Now you're asking if the key, not the value, but you're trying to get the key. This is not right. You want
Oh,
to get the value, right?
gotcha.
You're comparing it with the key.
Hmm.
So how are you going to get the value? You just need to add something with that. That was a little bit correct. You just needed some addition to that.
I want to check one thing real quick. Okay, so would I have to create another variable in here, like let value equal?
Yeah, the thing you're trying to access is not in the scope. The scope is inside the for loop. The key is inside that for loop. So yeah, check object key. Okay, do you know the syntax for this, or are you just trying to guess?
Let's see.
I'll tell you the syntax if you don't know it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, just wipe out the line 12. And now I'll tell you that the key is basically what? What is the key?
All this.
All this.
Everything in blue. So object, odd number, even number, found number, random number.
And what do we need? We don't need this. We need the
They
value.
need the numbers.
Yeah, we need the values.
Mhm.
To get them, you have to use the key and then the square bracket notation. Remember that we discussed that before, the square bracket notation, and then we get the index. So something like check object subscript. You need to create an index too now to go on the top and create an index. So try to create a variable, something like I. All right. And it has to be assigned to 0. Okay. You just need let I is assigning to 0. I'll just show you a little bit. So just make it 0 first. Okay, now this is like, try to think of it as like a for loop, a regular for loop. Now we know that it goes through indices, right? So you want to determine if the key subscript of this, key subscript, go inside the for loop and type in key square bracket. Inside the for loop, yeah. No, inside of it. Remove that.
Oh, inside. Okay. Yeah.
Key, and then square bracket, and then use the I index, what you created earlier. Put that inside of it. Now, what do you think this will be? It will be the key subscript the 0 index, right? Key with the 0 index. That means it will get the value of the first property. It will get the value of the first property, and so on. So if you're using a for loop,
Right.
0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you want to increment it, go on the next line and press I plus plus. This will increment it, and it will just show you the results of the key values instead of the keys. Semicolon on there. And right now you just need something a little bit over here. So key sub I, but the condition here, it says, is that you need to have a conditional that checks that if the object are greater than 2. So you have to put if, yeah, the value is greater than
Greater than 2.
Okay, and then after that, some body of the if statement. Okay, so you put a semicolon there in the conditional. That's not supposed to be there.
Oh, right.
And also the greater than should be just greater than, not equal. Because
Greater than.
or equal to, correct. Oh no, my bad. Okay, now that it says fill the array with all the numbers from the check object if they are greater than. Okay, so you got to fill the current array, object to array. So type in that. And you got to fill it using.
Or would it just be this?
Yeah, okay, almost there. Plus equal. That was correct, plus equal. And now what do you have to add? Key. Yeah. Okay, so we got some issue. Object to array should equal 2, 5, and 18. What is it? It's just returning some empty array. It shouldn't be like that. Expected 0 to 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go through the code and see. Let's dry run it. So let's go from the top to the bottom. So it's a let I is equal to 0. Okay. And then after that, it says let key in a check object, which is the key. Okay. And then it says if the key. Okay, check object sub key. Okay, try this. If check object, go over there in the check object. Instead of key sub I, try check object.
In here?
Yeah, in the conditional. Check object. And then try to use the index. So square brackets inside of the check object. And then get the key. So the key is basically changing, right, all the time. So instead of I, inside of the square brackets, you're going to replace it with key. Why? Because key is changing at all iterations. At every iteration, the key's value is changing. And you could see that each key is associated to a value. Check object sub key will resultantly give you a value, whatever it's associated with. So, right, you could think of check object subkey as a value. If it's greater than or equal to 2, then add it to the object2 array plus equal to key sub I. And now instead of key sub I, you would do the same exact thing. You want to put the value, right? So check object subkey. So that same thing. Hopefully this should work. Let's see what happens. Okay, constant. Where's this constant from? Oh yeah, that the thing is on the top assignment. Okay. You got to add it. Maybe a push, adding to an array. Instead of plus equal, maybe a, let's see what, and then put the brackets inside this. Let's see. Oh, okay. Go over this code. It was a little bit challenging, but try to go over this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does this need to be here for it to work?
Think about it. Think about it. Should it be there? Should it be there? Do you think it should be there? Is there any action going on with it?
I don't think so. No, because we're not using I in any of.
Correct.
So I don't think this even needs to be here.
It's a waste. It's a waste of memory. You don't even need that.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the snippet. You could get like a rough page and then get a pen too and try to dry run it. So dry running meaning is to give it some kind of random values or maybe the example value and see if it's working properly through this code. If it's working properly, then we can move forward. Right now, you can see that the computer is just determining if it's correct or not. But you could just go and insert an array or whatever it's requiring and evaluate it according to yourself. So if you dry run on a piece of paper or in your mind, it's a little bit better and you'll understand much properly.
I guess the only part I'm having trouble understanding is this part right here. So just a check object.
I understand. I understand.
Because I thought this would like print these out instead of the actual value of them. But
what are we using instead of a key? We're using some kind of variable that would distinguish itself as a key. What is the variable name that's using itself as a key? Like disguising itself as a key. The variable is, we named it as key as well. So it's key. Let key in check object.
Yeah.
The thing on the top, this key is basically that it's going through all of the keys inside of that object. Check object has 4 properties. A property is composed of a key and a value. The key is basically the first thing. The value is the second thing after the colon. Now, if you want the value, what you would do is you would use the same thing, which is check object, which is the name of the object. And then you would use the square bracket notation and put the key inside. Like in simple terms, like let's just type in on the bottom, wherever you are right now, type in check object, which is the object name. And now put square brackets it. I told you that you could access the properties using square bracket notation. Now, if you type in a key, let's say whatever key you want to type in, any kind of key you want within those 4 properties. Okay, now what do you think this will return?
1.
Yeah, it will return the value. In the similar case, go on the bottom, type in another one. Check object. and type in another key. Okay, what will this return?
V2.
Okay, but if I want to go in a loop structure, right? And I have this variable which is named as key in my for in loop, how am I going to access all of the keys, all of those values associated to all of those keys? I could use a variable which is disguising itself as the key name. So what's happening in that for loop is you're using key in check object. And instead of writing the key, explicitly, you're indirectly writing key to reference as all of the keys inside of the structure, if that made sense to you.
A little bit, yeah.
Give me like a number, like out of 10, how much do you understand this?
I'm not really sure right now. I just have to kind of
Okay,
look over it a little bit more, but
code
just to make it less complicated and just
this is what exactly
like practice.
the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. You're changing the key value to I, and then you're referencing as like that. This is common because this is what you're going to usually use to access key values inside of objects. I know we didn't go over for in loops in our first session, but we went over loops, and we know how to push stuff inside of an array, and we know how to do things. We're basically building up our logic here. Okay, try to go before running the code. Okay, so what did you think was going to be printed before? The name of those same exact things.
I keep thinking it would have just given me the names of these, because earlier we looked at like where it said console.log, or not console.log, but like if we like looked at that earlier, and that kind of
okay, keys, and then we put a bracket inside of those. It's keys is something, it's a function, and on the bottom what I'm talking about right now, what you just typed. Yeah, so check object dot keys. You want the keys function, not just keys, but the keys function. Put brackets, round brackets, with next to the keys. So parentheses, round brackets.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, we wrote the syntax for this, and inside it requires an argument. It requires an input parameter. What does it require? It requires the object. What is the object name? Okay, now what do you think this will return? It will return a list of, or an array of keys, key names, not value names, just key names. That's the difference. Look at that and look at that. Okay, did you get it?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, what happened here? Something happened. Yeah, so console.log, what it was supposed to return was the list of keys, but instead it's returning a list of values, right?
Right.
Why is this happening?
I think it's printing this out.
Okay, check that out.
This is saying it's an error.
Yeah, there's an error.
Okay.
Why? There's something wrong over there. Check object dot keys. Yeah, instead of key. Now check.
Still saying the same thing.
Okay, so something's going to be type error on line 21. check object dot keys is not a function. There's something wrong with the syntax here. Okay, I got it. I got it. It wasn't check object. It was just object. Remember? If we go back to the syntax, you need the syntax open. It's not check object. It was just explicitly object. And then,
Okay.
then you got it. All right. It was a syntax error. It was a type error. You didn't know the syntax properly. You just need a little bit of time going over the syntax here. Try to write this down on a piece of paper. I know at the start it may be a little bit challenging or intimidating, but go over this probably after this session as well, and try to think about this question by yourself and try to write this down yourself. Try to solve it at least 3 times or more, and then you'll possibly get the grip of it and try to find edge cases or try to learn something new out of the same exact question. So I would require you to, right now, I hope you understood like 50 out of 100 from this, but after the session, go over this question again and try to do this again yourself. If you have any problems, I'm always there. You could always message me and I'll try to respond back as soon as possible.
Gotcha. I'm just wondering if there's like a site that has some challenges or something for this.
I think that website is enough for those challenges.
Something to erase.
We're really good with arrays. I know we're good with arrays, but just the thing that's challenging us is the arrays with the for in loops, right? And the objects. So that's one. I saw your problem sets, what you send me. They're mostly containing these type of questions. I saw there was a pattern. You have the objects and you're trying to loop them through for in loops, right?
Okay. Yeah. See if I think this is another challenge, or just as this one.
Okay, next question. Let's go with the next one and let's go back whenever we want with this one. Okay, this one should be easy. Iterating with a for loop. Try to solve this. I mean, try to read the question out loud and then after that solve it.
Use the object type values method to return an array of check objects values. So
okay, awesome. We got a new method. Instead of object.keys, we got object.values.
to check that, we have to use that. It's basically just
Try to solve it out yourself first and then I'll tell you.
so 6. Okay. So I have to use this first. don't think this is what it wants, but okay, so that actually works. For the to iterate through objects. Do I have to use a for or just a regular for loop? Just saying a for loop.
You know how to use the regular for loop, right? Let I is equal to 0, I is less than object to array dot length. Yeah, so far so going good.
Huh. Is that
Awesome. That's all.
right?
Awesome. That's pretty good.
I feel like it wanted me to use a for in loop here, but I mean, I would,
Use a for loop, and you used a for loop. It's correct. What's wrong?
I don't know. I just
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. You just one question here is, why did you use the triple equals instead of the double equals in the condition? Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm just used to it more
You know, for
because I
yeah.
don't want it to think like if this popped up, it's well, I guess it's,
Yeah, in this case, but there's not kind of problem. All right, you're going for the safe side.
Yeah.
I understand. No problem. It would work
Yeah.
without the triple equals
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is perfect. Awesome. You got the one right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with the next one now.
Separate.
Okay, this is
I
really,
don't.
yeah, this is nested arrays. Like a nested loops, sorry, not nested arrays. Nested loops, so one loop inside of another loop. And yeah, the title
Yeah. I
of
don't.
it is nested arrays. We're gonna have to use
Mhm.
nested arrays. And what is this whole thing is like, there's an array, like, you know, there's a structure array. An array contains multiple types of objects, like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. It could contain true false 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 true true, stuff like that. It could contain names of people, right? So Bobby, John, Billy, whatever, they're all inside an array. And then there's the array that contains other arrays. So array contains another array and another array and another array. So subarrays it contains. Did you get that point?
Gotcha.
And the
Yeah.
subarrays could contain
So
data as well.
right.
So
So a nested array would pretty much just look like something like that.
yeah, but it's a little disorganized over here. Try to put the 1 2 inside an array as well. So 1 2 should be enclosed in an array as well. Yeah, and then there's a comma separated between both of these values. Now this is an unordered subarray, but you could have ordered as well using the same length. So you could have 1, 2, and 3, 4, and instead of 5. So 3, 4, and then the next subarray would have 5 and 6.
Okay. So it just is. Okay, got it.
Okay, but that's also another
I don't even know
subarray.
where to start with this one. Mhm.
Just get started like from the first line. You're provided with an empty array called nested array. Okay, that's on the top. Then start writing.
Using a for loop starting at index 0, add 5 subarrays to nested array.
Okay, now it's asking for adding how many subarrays inside of the nested array?
5.
So what could the length be? I is 0 all the way to?
6 or 5.
Yes, correct. So less than 5.
5.
I plus plus. We're done with that. Okay, awesome. Next. Use each nested array containing the string loop concatenated with the corresponding index in nested array as its first element and the index as its second element. Now you want a group of 2 things. You want a subarray, but it has to have 2 different elements. The first element should be the name of loop and concatenated with the index number. So how are you going to do this? Think about it. You're going to have to access the index of the current array. What is the current array? Nested array, right? Nested array. So you want to access the index. How are you going to access the index of the nested array? You don't need any if condition right now. Okay, awesome. You got access. You can access it using nested array. Now this will return in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the indices. But right now the array is empty. You're not going to get anything out of it. So you have to add stuff to it. So you could use the assignment operator to add, and then you want a subarray, right? So how are you going to assign it with a subarray? You go use the assignment operator. And now, why are you going to use plus equal? None of the plus equal. Remember, we told you we got an error before. Why? It was saying it's constant. Now assign it to a subarray. So create another array equal to, and then the array, create an array. So how do you create an array? Square brackets. And now what is it asking for each of these subarrays? This thing you put on them in the middle, nested array sub, and then you put the square brackets. This is the subarray you're trying to create. And inside of this subarray, you have to put the first as the loop name. So how are you going to put in the loop? It's a string, right? Just put some single quotes inside. So go inside this, square brackets and type in loop. And then you have to concatenate. Now concatenate using which symbol? The plus symbol. And now the index. How are you going to access the index? It's pretty easy. You're going to use, no, this is going to give you the value, but you just want the index. What will it return? The index is the number of the address. How are you going to get the address of the index? The address of the array. So you could use the incrementer, whatever that is. This is the index. And now you're going to put a comma. So you could see an example of a subarray, and then it says loop 3, comma 3. You want to try to make something like that. So again, what would you need at the second position?
Second position.
Second position of the subarray. What would you need? Look at the example. It has loop 3, and then it has 3. 3 is what? And what is loop 3? What is 3 meaning?
It's a number.
It's a number, but what is it? Yeah, exactly. What is it? If we look at the question, it says it's an, and the last line, read it. And yeah.
The index as a second.
So what does it mean?
So it's the position of this, pretty much.
And then there's a comma. Yeah, there's a comma. Put that loop plus
Right.
I, comma, 1 minute. Just put a comma after loop plus I. Yes, and now put I, just I. Now this is the index. One, it's going to be concatenated with loop I. So loop 0, loop 1, loop 2, loop 3. And then it's going to have the index alone, just loop 1. So next to it was going to be, it's going to be 1. And like in the example, loop 3, and next to it was 3. So in your code, it would be loop plus I, which is the index, and then the index itself. Try to go over this, try to print it out and see what you retain. And tell me if you were expecting this kind of output. This is not even
I
those.
mean, when I look at
Yeah.
it, I can tell how it works. I wouldn't be able to figure it out on my own. Like if I had just gotten this question, so I just need a lot more practice. Just
Okay.
because if I was just trying to do this on my own, I wouldn't even know where to start and just.
No, why wouldn't you know how to start? You started pretty well. You made a for loop and you went till 5. So it was asking using a for loop starting at index 0, add 5 subarrays to nested array. So it asked you to add 5 of them. So that was pretty good. Now, if you have a question similar to this asked during the interview or whatever, so you could actually do the same exact question, because if they're asking you this same exact thing, then you know how to do it. If it asks you something similar to this, but it's not the same exact question, you know that you solved this question previously and you know how it worked. So you could use that logic and try to build your own with the new question that's going to be asked in the future. Try to go over that question again and see if you could maybe remove it. Okay, just forget about it and try to do it again. Try to do that again. Why didn't you understand it's a subarray and you needed to create 2 positions, one for the loop plus the incrementer, and then the other with the incrementer or index itself. So I don't know where that's tricking you. Maybe try to remove this and do it again by yourself, and that would help out.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just remove the code, wait a few minutes, and then come back. See.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. Let's move to the next one, I guess. And you solved something before similar to this, I guess. So I think you could do this yourself.
Yeah.
Try to do this right now.
So for loop. Yeah, I have no idea. Because
I see that you're mixing up div by 3 push. You're trying to push something. Div by 3, look at div by 3. It's an object. You can't push stuff into it. You could push in an array, but not an object. So you're confusing functions. You shouldn't do that. So just leave that, screw that, and see what you could do. Maybe another option. Try to think of something else.
see system. That's not the right one. Yeah, I don't know. I did this one. Just
Okay, no problem. Let's start it from the beginning. Let's go from the first question. I mean, the first sentence, and then we'll go all the way down.
so.
Okay, it's from here. You are provided with an array possible iterable. Okay, so we have an array, and it's an array of integers or an array of numbers. And what we're going to do is, using a for loop, build out the object div by 3. Now, div by 3 is an object, and possible iterable is an array. So there's a difference between both of these structures. So using a for loop, build out the object div by 3 so that each key is an element of possible iterable that is divisible by 3. You want to create this div by 3 object. How do you create objects? Do you know how do objects look like? So what do objects contain? They contain properties, right?
Yeah.
And what does a property compose of? What is a property composed of?
Keys and values.
So they're asking you to create keys. So each key is an element of, so using a for loop, build out the object div by 3 so that each key is an element of possible iterable that is divisible by 3. So you want to go from the loop, and you went through a for loop, and you created so that each key is an element of possible iterable. So the possible iterable is numbers, and you want the keys to be those numbers. The value of each key should be the array index at which the key can be found in possible iterable. Okay, so the keys should be what? The key should be the values of the elements of the array, and the values of the div by 3, what would be the indexes or the indices of where they're associated to. So let's start out by creating a for loop.
It's
Okay, yeah, 3.
so 2.
Yeah, correct, correct,
So this should be the answer.
correct.
I'm just
Okay, awesome. So let's create a for loop first because it's asking us to create a for loop using a for loop. Okay, so went one from let i's to 0 all the way to possible iterable dot length, which is how much? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, correct? And then I plus plus. Okay, now we want the condition. So you did if possible iterable, and you said I is divisible by 3. Okay, and it's yeah, perfect. Now what do you want to put? You want to put the div by 3, which is the object, div by 3, type in that. Okay, div div div. Okay, try this one possible, and this what it would return. It's possible iterable value should be assigned to the. Okay, let's see. We'll try to run this code and see if this is working or not. Okay, it says assignment to constant variable. The same thing that happened in line number 7. We're not supposed to assign it. Okay, so try, okay, object.keys. Object.keys.
That's right.
And the object div by 3 has nothing so far. Okay.
Would it just be I, or would it be possible iterable bracket I?
You have to get the index, right? So it's just going to be I. So let's see. Okay, it's saying that it's not, it can't be assigned or something. Okay, try to remove that line 7 and let's see what we could do with that. Okay, so try div by 3, which is the name of the array, or div the object, sorry. Div by 3 is the name of the object, and get these square brackets for this. Okay, so we know that the square brackets, and if we put in something like I, so let's put in I, what does this return? It returns the value, right? Okay, it returns the value, but it's nothing over there. So what we're gonna do is instead of the value over here, we're gonna type in possible that possible iterables value. So type in possible iterable inside of the square brackets. Yes, value, and then assign that to I, because you want the key, which is possible iterables value, and you want that value to be the index. So try to put I after this. You know, the semicolon where you put the square bracket, yeah, right there, equal to I. And try that. Try to go over this and see if you could understand it line by line. By the way, you're really good at typing.
I've been working on computers for like the past 10 years, so I got okay at it.
Yeah.
Messed up a lot though sometimes.
I could tell I could say it's better than me.
Oh no, I messed up way too much.
Yeah, but you have a lot of practice, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, keep understanding with the logic. Keep going. Writing comments is a good practice. You're writing comments, I like that. You're trying to understand every single line.
So I is equal to index. So what is this? I just don't understand how this works at all.
Okay, I got that. I got that. Okay, so let's dry run it. Go on the bottom and see in the bottom. So let's write some comments there. At the bottom of the program. Yeah. So right over here, comments. So let's see what's the first line. It says div by 3, possible iterable sub I, and then it equals to the index. So we know that the index is changing throughout this whole loop. It's going from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to 4, I guess, not 5. So, right? And now we want div by 3, possible iterable sub I. So if I do possible iterable, we know that the array contains all the values. So it contains all the numbers, right? But if we
Okay.
want numbers, we would have to reference them using their indices. So we use possible iterable sub I. Just look at the right now, the highlighted portion, what you just highlighted, possible iterable sub I. Okay, that contains the value. All right. So if we put that inside of div by 3, think of the value, go on the top of the code and see possible iterable sub 0. What does possible iterable sub 0 mean?
4.
Okay, so just replace that possible iterable sub I, replace the whole thing with 4. Go in div by 3 and just replace the whole code. We'll look at it again. So replace it with 4. No, the whole thing, the whole square bracket, possible iterable subs, the sub 4, completely change it to 4 because this possible iterable sub 0 will be 4. Now, instead of looking at the whole string, right? Because you're getting confused of that. No, this is not the output. You're getting confused by possible iterable sub I. Just think of the first step. If it's possible iterable sub 0, it means 4 because that's the first element in the array, right? It means 4. So just replace that possible iterable sub I to 4.
Yeah.
If you look at 4 and then look at div by 3, 4. So div by 3 sub 4. Yeah. Now what is div by 3 sub 4? Tell me, what is this? This is the key, right?
Yeah.
So div by 3, it means the key. And equal to I means the value. You're assigning the key to a value. And you're assigning the value what? You're assigning the index as the value. Let me know if you got that point. Then I'll move further.
Yeah.
You got that point, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you go to the next iteration, it's not going to be 4 anymore. It's going to be possible iterable sub 1. And what is in the 1 address? Go back up on the array. Go back in the array. And what's on the possible iterable sub 1 index? 3, right?
3.
So we'll replace 4 to 3 because that's now the key. 4 is done. 4 key is done. 3 key, we're talking about 3. So replace 4 with 3. And 3 key is assigned to the index. What is the index now? 1. So 3 key is assigned to the index 1, value 1. Got it?
I think so. Yeah.
Now I need a confident answer. Let me know percentage, how much? 50%, 75%. How much did you get this question?
I don't know right now, but I'll just have to like watch the video back later over and over until I understand it.
Okay, I know this happens to me a lot too, because sometimes it doesn't happen all of a sudden. Like it gets into me too, because sometimes when I'm starting something new and the concept is a little bit strong and it takes a little bit of time, maybe a full concentration mind to get all of this done. I know there's a lot of processes going on inside this loop, because once you look at it, you're basically looking at the generic form. We're not looking at one portion of the form. We're not looking at a generic form that would go for all of the iterations, not just one. So we broke it down to one iteration to make you understand it. I went through the first index, which was 0. I said the zeros index contains what? The array possible iterable sub 0 contains the value, some specific value, which is 4, right? You said in the earlier portion. Now, if it's 4, so we'll replace a possible iterable sub 0 to 4. And then we look at the object, which is div by 3. Div by 3 sub 4. Now, 4 is the key, because I told you that div by 3, if we look at the square bracket will change, will basically determine that the key is going to be inside the square bracket. Div by 3, square bracket 4 is the key, and it assigns to the value, which is the associated thing, the index, which is I. Now I is 0, so it's going to be key 4 and value 0.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'll spend a little extra time on this later.
Okay, 1 minute. Okay, is there any videos related to this? Yeah, they provided some solution videos. Are these even helpful? Okay, so they try to help you solve the problem, I guess. Let's see. I think it's going to try to say the same thing what I'm going to be saying. So wrote all the comments down. You could fast forward this 2x. It's pretty slow, and I can't hear it either.
Oh, okay.
So is that, I think it's the same thing what we wrote so far. Okay, they did triple equals on that case. Okay, so yeah, the last line, which we were talking about, same exact thing, same exact code. So the same exact thing what we wrote. Yeah, I hope, yeah, go over this video too. This might help you. Try to watch this recording as well, if I get the time to send you. So I know for sure if you give it at least 10 minutes or more, you'll definitely nail this question and you're going to understand it 100%. Okay, so is there any other question?
Yeah, there's this one.
Okay, so is this the last one, or is
it?
How many more did we get? Do we have?
Yeah, it's the last one.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let's read this question from the beginning. First, let's fully understand it. Then we're going to write the code. Okay, we're not going to write code until we fully get the question. Okay, so let's see. Read it. You're given an object called SumMe, and now we know what an object is. We are very confident in what an object is. It contains properties, and a property is composed of keys and values. So a key and a value. Hello is a key, and there is the value. So you are given an object called SumMe containing several key value pairs and a variable called total, whose initial value is 0. So the total value is the total variable is set to 0. Using a for in loop, iterate through the keys of SumMe. Oh, that's really easy. Okay. If the value in the SumMe object is a number, okay. If the value corresponding to a key is a number added to the total. Got it. Okay, let me know if you get the whole thing through first. Do you know the term pseudocode?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do right now.
Okay, yeah. So try to write a pseudocode first.
So basically use foreign to go through all this if the
First write the foreign structure. Yeah. Yes, correct. You know, these problems are all connected somehow because we're still dealing with objects and they're asking us to access the value for the object. We know how to access a value of an object. How? Using the square brackets. I gave you a hint. We did this before, so use that hint. Let's see. Once you're done with all this, then start writing the for in loop structure. Okay, Sam, I think I got one thing from that code. What you wrote. Okay, so for value in SumMe. Remember we told you, remember that we had that mistake before that we forgot to use the keyword before the value. Yeah, what is the keyword? Let, correct.
Can I just write the number here like that, or?
Okay, now, yeah. We're going to use something that we did in the first session. Remember, there was an operator that I discussed, and we were looking at all the different types of variables available in JavaScript. We use an operator called type of, remember?
Right.
So
Yeah.
how are we going to use that? Yeah. Somewhere like that. It doesn't matter. Your syntax it doesn't matter. I know your logic is good. You just need to practice the syntax. That logic is good. I got that logic. And that's how we're going to do it. The thing is, okay, so just keep writing, keep writing. I'll tell you later.
It's not defined. Let me see if I can just.
It's just the syntax issue, nothing else. Oh, oops, a little too much.
Yeah. Undefined.
Okay, so it says for let value in some me. Okay, you know the name of the iterator what you used was value in some me, but you know the thing that it accesses of the object is not the value, it's the key, right? I remember. So we should
Mhm.
like name it something meaningful. Maybe key is better, or I, yeah. Yeah, to just give you a better understanding of what you're trying to access. You're accessing the key right now. Okay, so let key in some me goes through the object if key is equal to type of number. So if type of, try that. If type of key, put type of before, type of, no, type of together, key. Yeah, correct. Type of key. And then equals, double equals, because we're comparing. Yeah. And then the number, what is on top? What is it? What we're trying to compare? Check if the value is a, okay, cool. Go down. And you're comparing it with number. So you know that there's a number type. So number. Okay, now do the condition, whatever it's asking you to do now. If the value is a number, add it to the total. Total is equal to total. Okay. No, not like that. Not like that. Total plus equal to, or just do like this. Total is equal to total. Yeah. Total is equal to total plus the key. The key, what is a key? Show me what key is. Okay, so you're trying to add these letters together, or you're trying to add the numbers.
Numbers.
So you're not gonna get the key, but you're gonna get the value. So try to get the value using type of key subscript I, or yeah, key dot value or whatever. Try to get the key, the value, not the key. Square brackets. We're almost there. We're almost there. Yeah.
No. Mhm.
Oh yeah, that was almost correct. Some me subscript. That was almost correct. Some me subscript. Yeah. Key. Perfect. That's how you access the value. You wrote that. You wrote that. And you also have something before. You know, you're comparing the key. You're not comparing the key, but you're comparing a value. So type of some me subscript key instead of key explicitly. Go there and replace some me subscript key with that. Because if you look at it generally, you're comparing with the values, not with the key. Yeah, so this line was correct. Some me subscript key. This is correct. And now just copy this and just replace the key which is on top where the type of key. So replace that with some me subscript. Yeah, over here. Now, if that's a number, then it should increment it to something like that. Okay, it's still giving you the error. Number is not defined. Try to enclose it.
This isn't the thing.
Try to enclose it in double quotes. Let's see. Okay. So we had to enclose it with double quotes so that it could understand that it's a number type. Try to go over this question again. You're going over the keys, right? From the beginning, let key and some me. Then you're getting the value. If you want the value, use the object name, which is some me, and then you use the square brackets to access the value. So you use the key inside of the square brackets, and then that actually gets the value. So first you checked type of some me subscript key, which is the first one, if that is a number. So let's go on the top and let's dry run it. So it goes on into the first, it goes in the structure. See the structure and the first key. Let's look at the first key. Is that a number or it's, if it's, or is it something else? Check it. Okay. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so this is giving you values, not keys. Right?
Right.
Awesome. It's giving you values. And you're looking over the values and you're checking if it's a key, if it's a number or if it's not. So the first one is definitely not a number, right?
Right.
The second one is a number, so it adds it to the total. The third one is a number, it adds it to the total. The fourth one is a number or not? Tell me.
0, 1, 2, 3, 4. No.
It's not a number, but is it going to add it? If you look at the total, what is the total? You could print out total to console.log total at the end of the for loop to check the total. Console.log, this is happening inside of the loop. So outside of the loop, the total will be generated. Outside of the loop, not inside of the condition, but yeah. So just remove this and go outside of it. Outside of the, yeah, outside of this too, because yeah, over here. Is this the total? Is it running or is there some kind of?
Yeah, it's fine. I have a headache. Oh my god.
All right. Okay. So yeah, it's correct. The total is correct. It's 15. 7 plus 8 is 15. No problem. We'll get a break over here. I think this was the last question, and you got it solved. You just need a little bit of time to understand the whole process again. Possibly get a break, drink some coffee or something, and then go to this question again.
Yeah. I still have all of this I need to go through too. I don't even know what this or this means. Oh my god.
No, we don't need any of that right now. We're just looking at one specific thing. So just don't look at all of the other things. We're trying to focus on one topic, and we're going to go one topic at a time. So right now we're looking at these arrays and these objects. And once we mastered this, and then we'll go to the other ones. So we don't need to even look at those other things. So I'm seeing there's a recursion, there's object-oriented programming, Chrome extension, building a useful productivity tool from scratch. I think I saw this one. Is this a video? Like you're gonna follow some kind of video to make a Chrome extension? There's articles, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. This looks interesting.
So they just want me to do this on my own somehow.
Oh yeah, they're giving you some introduction first. There's gonna be tons of videos online, like on YouTube, how to create a Chrome extension. And yeah, so they also have a version of themselves. So they have these steps that you could follow.
Yeah, I don't. If I'm like having this much trouble with just this, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to go through all of this.
So how much is like the time? Like how much did they give you for the time? And when is it?
I can take as long as I want. I haven't actually applied to them yet. So, but I know once I apply to them, they eventually have me go through a where is it?
So you could apply anytime you want, or is there a specific time?
Yeah, anytime.
So right now we have like you could take as long as you want. Full-time software engineering, immersive, advanced, you're okay.
Yeah. So just
12-week coding bootcamp focused on building engineers, not technicians. Okay. So where is the time to apply? You gotta like apply anytime you want.
there's some they have like schedules. Yeah, right, like right here. So it would just be these. So if I want to get in this time frame, I would apply by May. If I want to get in here, apply by June.
Oh, so that's like we
So
have
I'm
there's a
probably
couple of months. Yeah. So it's right
yeah,
now
I'm
I guess
probably aiming for June
June,
first.
yeah, June or August. So we have a couple of months, and this is the thing I had in my mind. I said, if you want to cover all this, it's probably going to take you at least like 2 months of continuous work, like two, maybe 1 month if you're really good. So it could take you some time, but possibly you would do it in a month or two.
Yeah, so I pretty much have exactly 2 months to learn everything that's on this page.
Yeah.
I
So
don't think I'm gonna do that.
I guess this exercise that's bothering you will take you at least like 2 days or 2 3 days. Try to give this exercise again sometime and go over it again, repeat, and then see if you could try to do it yourself. Maybe have those solutions on a side, put them in a text file or something, and then try to give your own answer. If you could, that's great. If you can't go over that answer that we did ourselves, and then try to compare it with your own solution. That's going to help you a lot. Trust me.
Probably, yeah, probably just do all of these again until I can do them without looking anything up.
Yeah, awesome.
Because I know I can. I know I can. Mm,
I know you can do the
just not
basic
tonight.
things.
I am. Yeah.
I think the time factor is not a thing that we need to consider because we have the time. We have the time for it. We just need I think, commitment. That's the key.
Right.
Yeah. So try to
Yeah.
practice. This always happens. Yeah, in software development, practice is the key. The more you work on problems, the more you get better. So I know I gave you some problems that were from W3 schools. I guess they were relatively easier than this, right?
Oh yeah. It was just basic
Yeah,
multiple
those are
choice questions. It wasn't coding challenges or anything.
yeah, those are basics. And the ones that you need to practice now, this is a really good website. I like this website that have these problems. Similar to this is HackerRank, if you ever heard of it. There's HackerRank, and then there is one called LeetCode. Now, people who are applying to jobs, like coding interviews, they go to these websites and they solve problems. So they create an account. Yeah, you could create an account and you could solve daily problems, like every day, at least one. to maintain a streak, right? So it motivates you to solve at least one problem a day. This is a good website I used in the beginning. And there's another one called Code Chef. So you could use Code Chef if you want. You could use Lead Code. HackerRank is really good. So what you have an
Yeah, I
account?
just need to remember my.
Oh,
Yeah, apparently I have an account. I just need to reset my password on it or something.
so like you have some progress, I guess. Did you have any progress on HackerRank?
Probably not. If it was probably a while ago that I signed up for this. If I did.
Oh, okay. So like they have these awesome challenges that you do every day. If you maintain a streak, you get badges too. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll have a look at that too. I definitely just need to practice over and over.
I know. Are you used to writing on a page?
I guess so. Yeah.
Or maybe a whiteboard? So do you have a whiteboard at home?
And now typing is usually the easiest for me.
Yeah, so for me. But like if you have a page and you have a laptop with your computer, maybe typing it in, I mean writing it with your hand, one problem yourself, not the whole thing, like the pseudocode version, and then go and type in the whole program. First, write the pseudocode version on a page,
Mhm.
and then you say, oh, I got it, confirm. Then you go straight away to coding. You don't have to think anymore. So, that point where you fully understand a question, you fully know how to solve it, and you just go straight away, just type it, not even think about anything else. So try to do something like that.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So
I'm pretty
any questions you want to
just go
ask?
over these again over and over.
Yeah.
I'm probably just gonna go to bed.
Yeah.
I am burnt out for the day, so
No problem.
this was a lot to go over in 2 hours. So it's just like maybe
But at
once
least
I wake up.
yeah, you'll be fresh and you'll look over this again with a clear mind, and it's gonna be really helpful.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. So, any questions regarding anything? We did solve all the problems that you were asking me, right? We solved all of them. That's good. And once
Yeah.
to be honest with you, I didn't look over these questions until today. I knew that we had a session, so I just woke up and then I saw those problems. I did them before the session, so I looked over them and I wrote all of them down in a page. So I wrote my pseudocode version of them, and then I just tested one in my computer to see if it worked, and then after that we started our session. So yeah, I myself had to solve these before. So it's not like I knew the solutions during your coding process. I I had them written down and then I was just discussing the solutions. Possibly some were the ones that I didn't write them down, so I had to read the question again and again to understand how to solve it.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. It's a lot. So
Yeah, I
I
know.
don't know.
The struggle is real.
Yeah.
Okay, any
Yeah, we'll just see what happens. No questions, anything like that. I'm
no
just
questions, anything related to
worried.
this coding or nothing, maybe in general, before we conclude this session?
I don't know. I mean, the only thing I'm worried about is whether or not I'll actually be ready in 2 months. Right now, it doesn't feel like I'll be anywhere close, but we'll see, I guess.
Okay. Okay, so awesome. I want you to get rest and then definitely maybe try this tomorrow.
Yeah.
And also, I'll deliver the order once again.
Mhm.
I'll be hoping for like a feedback if it's possible.
Yeah.
And I'll send you this recording once it's processed. I know this is going to be a very long recording, but I'll send it. You could
Mhm.
download it on your end, and then
Okay.
after that, you could use it. You could watch it offline, so that would be easier for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank
Yeah,
you
I'll go
so
ahead.
much. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Hope we see you.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'll deliver. I'm delivering it right now. So let me just deliver the order quickly.
Okay.
Let me send. So I didn't write any code today, so I'm just gonna send you the
Mhm.
same exact files what I did before. It's a good thing that you wrote the code yourself, so you got practice instead of me
Right.
writing it for you. All right, so it's delivered. Remember to leave a review and take care and good night.
Sounds good. You too.
Thanks. Bye.